Welcome to our podcast. You're listening to Don't Worry by Ikeson at www.ikesonmusic.com. Welcome to Why Complain When You Can Whine? Making sense of the senseless, 3 professional women attempting to make sense of toxic nonsense while drinking wine. I'm Dr. Jody Larman. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California. Therefore, everything that we talk about is purely for entertainment purposes and psychoeducational purposes only. There is no therapy or therapeutic relationship given or implied. And after saying that, I got to show you my glass. It says, Doctor, actually. Thank you, Ashley, for pointing this one out to me, too. Had to buy it. And my wine tonight is a J. Lore Cabernet from Paso Robles. A little shot thing, or a little taster thing. And I have to say, I wore this shirt for you, Ashley, and I'm going to see if I can show you without making too much of a mess here why I wore this shirt for you. It says, Yes Way Rosé, California.
Love.
I wore that for you. My brother gave this to me and he's like, oh, wait, but you don't like rosé, do you? And I said, I drink it sometimes, but I thought, I can wear this for Ashley tonight. So
I love rosé.
Nice. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
I'm Heather. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and my internet keeps freezing, so I apologize. And I am finishing the Apothic Dark from Halloween because I don't like leaving wine unfinished, and it's been sitting there since then. So I'm finishing that and drinking out of my fun Red Robin glass that my mom stole when I was a child.
Oh, I love it. I'm Ashley. I am founder of Loving Single and a domestic violence and SA survivor. Tonight, we've just got the classic wine tumbler. Love it. And tonight, I brought a new friend, which I feel could be considered part of the wine family. It's called June Shine. It's hard kombucha. It's a midnight painkiller with coconut, pineapple, orange, and nutmeg and green tea. And you have to flip it upside down to activate it. And then voila.
No
Nice.
shaking. Flip it upside down.
You just turn it upside down.
Sweet.
I know.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, what color is that? It's like
It's
a gray.
it's kind of like a lighter version of Heather's background.
It is.
Okay.
It's made with fruit, so that's why I thought it would work.
It's healthy. Yeah, and it's healthy. Like, hey, doesn't have grapes in it, but that's okay. They can make wine from other things.
Yeah.
Close enough. I'm a doctor, so I know. My glass says it. My glass says it.
Doctor, actually.
So, who wants to introduce tonight?
I think Jody should.
Agreed.
Okay, let me give a little background of what we're going to talk about tonight. I posted a video on TikTok about when anyone tries to tell me that not all NPD narcissists are abusive. It's part of the diagnostic criteria. Little did I know that that was going to set off a shitstorm amongst the Gen Z crowd, who then came and decided to come into my comments, hostile, abusive comments, and make a lot of stitches of my video telling me that I am wrong. So we're going to talk about that tonight, the criteria and the abuse of NPD, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we could start with either the video or with NPD. What would you ladies like me to do?
I think we should start with the video.
I think we should start with the video, but just to sum up, what we're talking about is the fact that to a degree, all NPDs are abusive. The criteria for NPD basically makes it abusive.
Right.
And let me say, here is the dictionary, Webster's dictionary definition of abusive. And that is extremely offensive and insulting, or engaging in or characterized by habitual violence or cruelty, and involving injustice or illegality. So if extremely offensive and insulting is abusive, it doesn't have to mean somebody punched you, somebody hit you. Psychological abuse, mind fucking, gaslighting, demeaning, devaluing, discarding, pulling back, love bombing, all of that can be abusive. So
It is abusive. Absolutely.
And one of my favorite definitions of abuse was said by a therapist that says a pattern or a pattern of manipulation is abusive, qualifies as abuse. Manipulation that turns into a pattern of manipulation is abuse. So everyone's always thinking abuse is just physical, and how very wrong they are.
Which is interesting to me. Like, I thought we had moved past this a long time ago. Like, not we, the three of us, but I thought, like, as a society, we figured out that psychological abuse is abuse, and that the survivor community at least knows this. I thought that was spreading like wildfire to everybody, that it's abusive to emotionally fuck with somebody. It's not just physical. And people who have family members that have been victims of domestic violence know that the emotional abuse caused more damage than the physical abuse. So I don't understand why this is even an issue, but maybe this younger generation just needs to catch up.
And I use the word abusive. I didn't say they were abusers. I said they were abusive. Now, the definition, one of the definitions for abuse is to use or treat in such a way as to cause damage or harm. So if you are psychologically harming someone, if you are using someone to cause harm, that is abuse. And again, I just want to say, there, to me, if you're an abuser, you're abusive. If you're abusive, you're an abuser. But I specifically use the words abusive because abusive is just being me, basically. Yeah.
Well, even, I mean, let's like really quickly before we go into the video, there was a comment on one of your videos that said, I love how we're slandering her again. Can't wait to see her second "you are all abusing me" post. Haha. That in and of itself is abusive. You're inciting a specific behavior that you know will cause pain or emotional disruption, and you take pleasure in it. That is abuse, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And when somebody says, I truly hope you never have a patient for the rest of your life. I hope you go broke. I hope your house burns down. That's abusive.
I know that this younger generation, I'm going to be careful saying this, is highly sensitive to anything. I mean, anything. And I know they don't like the way it sounds, but listen, you may not like the way it sounds when I say the sky is blue, but that doesn't change the color of the sky.
No.
There is a difference between, and so many people have attacked the DSM. The DSM is old. The DSM is out of date. Okay, first off, the DSM-5 came out in March of 2022. Prior to that, the DSM-5 TR came out in March of 2022. The DSM-5 came out in 2013. Now, whether you like the DSM or not, that's how we have to diagnose. We can't just say, you know what, I don't like that diagnosis, or personality disorders have to be diagnosed after the age of 18. But you know what, I kind of want to diagnose it now when they're 15. We can't do that. We have to go by the DSM. And if anybody who's in therapy wants their therapy reimbursed by insurance, you got to use a DSM diagnosis. Whether you like it or not, those criteria have to be met or not met. We have to go by them. And there are, Heather, we're going to show the video, and then Heather's going to talk about the criteria, and I'm going to talk about the features, because reading something off of a page is one thing. Understanding what it looks like and how it manifests is another piece, a very important piece to diagnosing. And that's why we go to school, to learn how to do what we do. So, okay, bear with me a moment as I share my screen.
Have time for this. I do not have time for you.
As a psychologist, you should know that is no longer part of the diagnostic criteria, and you are also spreading false information, which in turn is demonizing an entire community that are not abusers for the most part. That's it. I just want to add, actually, that people call it practicing medicine instead of knowing medicine, because it is constantly changing and things are constantly being discovered. It is not that different with mental disorders and or disabilities.
Okay, you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why she thinks that you're practicing medicine, because you're never claiming to be a medical doctor, but okay.
There are so many things wrong with that. Ashley, you pointed something out earlier about what she said about mental health, or was it Heather?
I said that she's talking about mental disorders and what narcissism, NPD, is not a mental disorder, it's a personality disorder. So she wasn't even correct in her statement, in her qualifications of what NPD is. So that's my biggest beef with these people, is that they're so insistent on fact checking a psychologist, but they don't even have their facts correct in the way that they're addressing you. So they're not even creating enough space for there to be an open dialogue about this. It's just an attack about the fact that they feel like, how dare you say we're not abusive, but we're going to attack you for your statements and be incorrect in our attack.
And she
Right.
says they're not abusive to a point. To a point.
What?
I wish she would have elaborated on that. They're not abusive to a point.
To the point of physical violence?
That's what I'm wondering, is like, okay, what does that to a point mean? Because we've talked about this before, and psychological, emotional, mental abuse, is domestic violence. And it can be and is sometimes worse than physical abuse, because there have also been people who, one, have unalived or tried to unalive themselves due to the psychological, emotional, mental abuse that they suffered. And you hear about CPTSD, you hear about trauma therapy, all of this stuff because of physical, mental, emotional abuse. Psychological, mental, and emotional abuse that people have suffered.
Yep.
To a point. I mean, no one got hit. Yeah, sorry, that doesn't fly. So if you're going to say, yeah, go on.
But this is as dumb. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. They can cancel me if they want. Don't argue the pain of childbirth to me if you've never given birth to a child.
Facts.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's not painful if you've never had your water break and you've never gone into labor. Shut the hell up with it.
Yeah. Dude, you're 100% right. 100% right. I
So
agree.
you're going to talk to
wholeheartedly.
me about the abuse and the pain that we experience as victims and survivors, but you've never actually experienced narcissistic abuse. So what are you talking about? You don't get to join this conversation. Sorry.
They don't believe narcissistic abuse exists.
Of
They
course,
don't
because
believe-
either one, they're the abuser, or two, they've never been abused. So why are you even in this conversation?
Because
hate
they're just little immature bullies who want to target somebody and pick on somebody, and they felt like Jody was someone they could pick on. And they probably do this to other people on social media too, because that's all they have. That's all they have going for them right now. Like, do your homework and take a nap, because the experts are here now. And if you need a cookie, you want to go sit in the corner with some milk, calm down, and then you can come back and join the conversation when you're an adult and know how to have a conversation like this.
Well, and I think that's the thing. You said it right there, is they feel triggered by the content that's being put out because they're abusive.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't like the way it sounds.
Yeah, essentially how people with NPD would feel too. But people with NPD like probably wouldn't even give a shit.
They wouldn't care. Yeah, they wouldn't give two shits about. We already know there was someone with MPD, says that he's MPD, came on my page and made a comment, and then when realized was wrong, skittered away, went home,
Yeah.
went back to his page, didn't say a word, deleted his comment, and moved on. Didn't stitch, didn't duet, didn't mention anything. Just went on about his business.
Yep.
And, you know, there are a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and they're all claiming they're NPD. And someone,
I think they're younger than that.
I'm sure some of them are, yeah. But in their
Younger
little
than that.
bio, it'll say 18, probably just so that they can get onto TikTok and be able to do
Right.
things.
They look 13, 14, 15 to me. They don't look like, yeah.
And you have, like, one of them was a psych ward, like, warrior or something, or veteran or something like that. Like, they had been in and out of the psych ward. And so they were, you know, I'm NPD and I'm NPD. And someone commented that works, I believe, in a psych hospital or with patients discharged, and said they're getting diagnosed as teenagers under the age of 18 with personality disorders. Now, right then and there, whoever is doing that diagnosing is incorrect. The only thing that you could potentially diagnose would be ASPD, because they had horrible, long-lasting conduct disorder before the age of 15, and now they're 17, and you can see that pattern is continuing. It's a pretty safe bet that ASPD is right there at their 18th birthday, but that's because the diagnosis itself has to have conduct disorder before the age of 15, or suspicion of conduct disorder. All the other ones you cannot diagnose till after 18. And there's a reason for that. And it even says that, let's see, teenagers, narcissistic traits may be particularly common in adolescence and do not necessarily indicate that the individual will go on to have narcissistic personality disorder. Because who hasn't been, well, I guess there are people, I say, but who hasn't been, or who hasn't had narcissistic traits and tendencies as a teenager?
Well, come on. I mean, there's
normal.
like 90% of survivors and victims of narcissistic abuse, they listen to the traits of it and they go, oh my God, am I a narcissist? I may be a narcissist. Like, what's the most common question we get? Am I the narcissist?
Yep. Yeah. Because also you've been mind fucked so much and probably told by the narcissist that you are a narcissist, not them. So you start to actually wonder, maybe they're right. And I have to tell people, if you're asking if you're the narcissist and it causes you literally distress to know that you might be the narcissist, you're not the narcissist, because it wouldn't cause distress to a narcissist to find out that they were a narcissist. It would just be like, okay.
Yeah.
I told my ex, just real quick, I told my ex he was narcissist. He met all the criteria and he goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
Yeah, it's normal for people in adolescence to have screwy senses of self because that is the time in your life where you're actually developing your identity and your sense of self. Like you're solidifying that. And so until you're 25, I wouldn't want to diagnose you with personality disorder anyway. And can I just like circle back to the psych ward warrior or psych, like I have clients that are in and out of the state hospital in Colorado and are very seriously mentally ill. And I mean, I know we're trying, like I said this in the last one too, I know we're trying to destigmatize mental illness, but we're also not trying to make light of something really, really fucking serious. If someone is in and out of psychiatric,
She froze again. The internet has been in its own little retrograde thing today, I think.
Well, you know, we're in Mars retrograde right now.
And tell us what that means.
It's our time for us to heal our inner masculine.
I like my inner masculine.
It's to heal the toxic masculinity that we've experienced and the toxic traits we've developed in that. At least that's how it was explained to me.
But I kind of like my toxic traits.
And at least we can be honest about it.
There's a time and a place for them. But yeah. Okay, Heather's moving again.
how fucking long was I frozen? Where did I leave off? I don't even know. I'm sorry, friends.
Start to move.
I do remember you were saying that you're not trying to we're, you know, destigmatizing, but also not to
not to like glorify being in and out of psychiatric facilities. Like those are my clients, and like on their behalf, I would say like, don't do that. It's not cute to have to cycle in and out. You know how expensive that is for your insurance and your life, like to have to be in and out of hospitals and be like a psych ward warrior. Like that's not, I don't know. There's something really gross about that to me, and I just wanted to say that.
You should be proud of who you are. However, why would you be proud of being in and out and in and out and in and out of psych hospitals? That should be something, honestly, again, not to stigmatize mental health, but usually people who are in and out of psych hospitals are not happy. They're not happy to have whatever it is that is bringing them to the psych hospital. They're in distress because it's distressful, and there's
a lot of pain.
Yeah. No, and that's not something to be celebrating. So,
why do you think that it is that people do that?
Honestly, on TikTok, I think it's for clout on TikTok. I think it's for, hey, let's show, because there is so much pain there. So the way to sometimes mask the pain is to do the exact opposite. Like, look, I'm so happy, I'm this and that. So I think if you're doing it in a way to educate, that's one thing. And then you do it in a way to educate. But I don't think they're necessarily doing it in a way to educate, to be honest.
I don't either. I don't think it's tasteful at all.
Mm-mm. I mean, there's this one girl that I follow on TikTok. It's really sad. She was abducted, and she checked herself into a psych hospital. And she started a TikTok about the psychiatric ward food that she's been served. But she was not boastful about it at all. She was like, I just want to be happy. Like, you know, and I don't want to feel alone here. And so I'm just going to share an open, honest, like vlog of what's going on here. And then, you know, she was released, and she went back, and she's like, we're going to do this together. And I'm just doing this to be, you know, helpful to anyone who is struggling with their mental health. But it wasn't like, she didn't wear it like it was like a badge of honor. You know, it was like, this is what I'm struggling with. And listen, I have an eating disorder. I don't go off and brag that I have an eating disorder like it's some freaking, I have a trophy for it. Like, it's not something I'm like, I have an eating disorder and like proud about it.
I did 2 videos recently about being bipolar too, but it wasn't to say I'm bipolar too. It was to say, look, this is what it's like. This is what the difference is between 1 and 2. More to educate, because I've had people ask me if you can actually be a functioning human being with a job and a career and a family with when you have bipolar. So I, on my live, so I made a couple of videos about it, but it wasn't to be like, it's so much fun. Yeah, when you're in mania, it's more fun for sure, but it wasn't blissfully writing it off as everybody should have it. It's so cool. It is super cool. When people they talk about their journey, like that girl that you're talking about, she's talking about her journey through this, not for clout and not to celebrate it, but to show her journey. And it's for others to learn and help her grow as well, I'm sure, to share it with others.
Yeah. I mean, even as survivors, listen, I don't want to be a domestic violence survivor. I don't want to be part of the fucking club. Like, how many of us want to be part of the fucking survivors club? None of us. Like, we take what we've gone through and we utilize it as a form of strength to empower ourselves and to empower others. But it's not like I'm like domestic violence veteran. Fuck that. I would never say some dumb shit like that. Like, when
I'm an OG survivor.
Like, that's the fact. Didn't she call herself a psych ward veteran?
Like,
when you
a
call yourself
warrior.
a veteran, that's like, that's something to be proud of. I'm not going to call myself DV veteran, like as if I'm bragging that I've been abused back and forth and I can't get out of abusive relationships. That's what that says to me. Like, gross.
Right. And it's like, there's a balance of like, we're not trying to fucking shame anyone for sharing that they have a mental illness or that they're in a like, hospital.
Boop,
We lost her. No, we are not ever trying to shame anybody having mental health issues. And I think it's great when someone feels the need to go to a psych hospital for help and they go for help. But then when you create your whole entire being based on that, and I'm going to say this might sound really bad, but people already hate me already, that you become this character. That is your character, is that psych ward person. You don't grow, you don't expand, you don't become anything. That's your persona, is the psych ward mental health illness person. Not even a mental health warrior, not even a mental health advocate. You're a psych ward person.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, like, and that's the thing, my dad has significant mental health problems. Like, I don't shame anyone. I take it very seriously. My heart, like, my dad has brain injuries, and then my daughter's father has mental personality disorders and mental health issues. And it is not something to be taken lightly. There is no shame in it. But when someone uses it as a medal, as a way to boast, as a way to gain clout, to me, I question whether or not the validity of them saying that, because it's painful for whoever truly has that. It's painful for the people who love them and are watching this. There's nothing to be boastful about it. Like,
and it doesn't help them recover. Like, if you go to AA, like 12-step meetings, the one big complaint that a lot of people in recovery will say about 12-step meetings is that
we'll find out in a minute. We're hanging, we're in suspense. So she froze again, but we'll find out what it is that they say in AA meetings.
Dun, dun, dun.
We need that. Do you remember that old time screen that says "Be right back" or whatever, or "Stand by" whenever they had?
I am really frustrated with Zoom for silencing me. Like, one thing I don't like as a fucking survivor is feeling like I'm trying, like something's trying to silence me, and Zoom is really not wanting me to fucking talk today. But I'm going to finish my point on the 12-step meetings, because I think it's important to note, like, it doesn't help people recover to just share war stories and be proud of all of the shit that you've gone through. It doesn't
Yes.
help your recovery, and it's not helping other people either. And other people don't like hearing about it that are going through that. So that's,
Yeah, you
before
have to
I get
move
cut off
on.
again, that was my thought.
You're exactly right. You have to move on. You're in that place, and rightly so. You need to process it. You need to go through it, but then you need to move on. And if you don't move on, you're literally stuck in whatever it is that caused you to be there in the first place. So if your persona becomes the psych ward person who's in and out of psych wards, it's like, honestly, and again, I am not ever demeaning or devaluing anybody's mental health issues. But if you are constantly in and out of psych wards and are calling yourself the psych ward veteran with pride, what are you getting out of it that you keep having to go back and forth to psych ward? You know what I mean? Are you working something?
Really, it's expensive and a painful thing to go through.
Yeah. Are you working on your mental health? Are you making any progress? Maybe you're getting the wrong treatment, but if you're in and out and boasting about it, you're gaining something. You're gaining some secondary something from that. And whether it's clout and followers online, I don't know. But there are people, believe it or not, who stay in their mental illness because it gets them secondary gain. And then there are people who malinger, who don't have a mental illness, but feign having a mental illness because they get secondary gain from that. And I think some of these people on TikTok get followers and likes and clout by saying that they have a personality disorder.
Totally. I mean, even like look at it like this would be a great one to talk about with Heather, because you work in the criminal justice system, and Jody, because you were at the prison. How many people that are in the prison system or incarcerated in jails, the thought of going and living in society, having to pay for their rent, having to pay for their food, having to have a job, having to be responsible is so overwhelming to them that they'll intentionally commit crimes while they're incarcerated so that they can stay there because they don't want to live in society.
Yeah, there's institutionalization is a real thing, and that'll happen. Go ahead, Jody.
Oh no, I'm totally agreeing. We had guys, because I ran a parole group, and as guys got what is called closer to the house, meaning closer to paroling, suddenly they would start getting into trouble. And you have a minimum date for a lot of sentences, not every sentence, but most sentences have a minimum date and a maximum date. And if you're doing well, you're going to get out on your minimum date. But if you continue to get in trouble, you can do what's called maxed out, or end up maxed out, meaning you have to stay your whole entire sentence. And some guys, they're reaching their minimum date and they start getting into trouble and get 90 days added and 90 days added and 90 days added. And it's like, why are you doing this?
We call
And
it short timers disease.
They'll tell you that they're not doing it on purpose, but once you get to really talking to them, some of them will say they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere. And at least here they get 3 meals.
And healthcare. Holy shit. They get healthcare, dental care. They get a lot.
Healthcare, yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually, at our prison in California, we are not allowed to use the word malingering. Not allowed to. We're not allowed to say that they, what is the word I'm talking about? Exaggerated their mental health symptoms. Not allowed to say that. Even if we know it's true, we can't say it. We can't say anything that might intimate that they're not really, truly mentally ill or as mentally ill as they're portraying. Can't do that in the state of California prison system.
Why?
Good question.
That I want to know, because how is that helping fucking people?
Good question. We had our enhanced outpatient program was the severely mentally ill, and It used to be 80% severely mentally ill and then 20% like gang members, guys that wanted to hide out, because it's an easier sentence in the sense of you get out of your cell 10 to 14 hours a week, you have groups, you get yard. And if shit goes down in the state of California at any prison, they can lock up all the prisons. And so you won't get your yard. But in mental health, you get your yard. So in mental health, you get to get out. So unless it's something really severe, like there was a really bad riot up in Pelican Bay, and they would only let the Hispanics out. They would not, the blacks had to be escorted in handcuffs because there was a big, massive race riot. So, but they still got to get out. At one point, though, they did lock up for groups. But for the 99% of the time, when shit goes down in any of the prisons, mental health still runs. Mental health still goes. Mental health takes precedent over everything.
Yeah.
So guys want to get into mental health. And it turned into about 80% hiding out and 20% severely mentally ill. And the mentally ill were not getting their needs met because all of our time was spent on the other guys that were hiding out. And they were starting to request to come out of the program because they wanted, you know, to get away. They were being victimized. They were being harassed, their meds, stuff like that. So they wanted out. And this goddamn, is it, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you just fine. It just sounds like you're an alien all of a sudden. It's cool though. Like we're talking about prison inmates. It's alien-esque. It's working. It's working for you. I just think it's really fucking fascinating that they're like, because that's the thing with people who are actually mentally ill in prison. Like they're more likely to get victimized. So when people are like malingering and sorry, exaggerating symptoms and things you're not allowed to say in California, like if they're doing those things to get mental health access and then they're taking advantage of the actual mentally ill and hurting them, like it seems really counterintuitive to like what the whole Department of Corrections in Colorado is also really counterintuitive to me as an organization. So, you know, whatever, that's just how they are.
Yeah, it was. Now is it still alien?
Nope, now you're good. I helped. It was, you know, I did something helpful today.
Oh my God, people listening are like, I don't know if I should take these people serious. I don't know if this is a parody. I don't know if
They're drinking wine.
It's
Don't
the
take
one,
anything
but
seriously when people are drinking wine. Jeez.
anytime there's a retrograde, it always fucks with us. Let's just be real.
Oh yeah,
And
Mars
our
retrograde. Yeah.
male, so you know there's that. Made by males. But going back to what we were talking about, oh, the thing about causing distress and mental illness causing distress, when it comes to personality disorders, oftentimes the cluster Bs more than anything, but personality disorders don't necessarily cause the person distress in their social, emotional, or occupational functioning, but it causes distress in the people around them. And
a lot of
with
it. A lot of distress, and the people like significant amount of distress in the people in their lives to the point that they are walking away from you. Yeah.
And some of these that are coming into my comments and also doing things like going online and trying to leave negative reviews on anything that they can review of mine professionally. But they will sit there and tell me, I had narcissistic parents and they were the nicest people in the world. However, I was also diagnosed with CPTSD.
But in that, how could you say that they're, why would you, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how would you say that your parents are narcissistic and that they were amazing? That
These people are not credible. They're cyber bullies in high school who, like I said, just need to stop, do their homework, sit in a corner, have a timeout. There's no
It's
credibility. These people don't have any credibility.
I had two people tell me, and oh my God, let's say it's true. I don't think it is, but let's say it's true. I'm in a relationship with a narcissist, and it's the healthiest relationship I've ever been in my life.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
that
first
comment was
off-
good too.
First off, you're about 16 or 17 years old. So I don't know how many relationships you've been in. And if it's healthier than the relationship with your parents, that's very telling. And if it's a brand new relationship, just wait. Just wait. Because we all know what narcissists do in a relationship.
At this point, I just don't believe it, any of the things they're saying. They're so ridiculous. Like, I don't believe that any of these comments are actually things that they believe. I think they are trying to incite a riot. That's what I think.
Yeah. And I would imagine a lot of people listening do know what narcissistic personality disorder is, but a lot of them might not. So Heather, do you want to read some of the criteria for the diagnostic criteria?
Okay, if I freeze, you're going to have to pick up where I leave off. So you better be ready. Narcissistic personality disorder is a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, a need for admiration and lack of empathy, beginning in early adulthood, and present in a variety of contexts as indicated by 5 or more of the following. 1, has a grandiose sense of self-importance. For example, exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. 2, is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3, believes that he or she is quote unquote special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. 4, requires excessive admiration, has a sense of entitlement.
And it has a sense of entitlement. In other words, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. Is interpersonally exploitative. In other words, takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. Oh, can't hear you.
Am I
Can
back?
you hear me? Okay, you're back.
7, lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Unwilling to recognize. 8, is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her. 9, shows arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes.
Now, for people who are going to say, but you need 5 and that's 9. Okay. There is something called called diagnostic features. Now, knowing the criteria is one thing. And we go to school to actually learn how those criteria are manifested, what they look like in a human being, how they will appear, and kind of dissecting it all. So people might say, but not all of that is abusive. So let me just read a couple of the diagnostic features for you. And you decide if these are abusive or not. They're likely to insist on having only the top person, for example, doctor, lawyer, hairdresser, instructor, or be affiliated with the best institutions, but may devalue the credentials of those who disappoint them.
Ew,
Oh my
yeah,
God,
that's
what's
abusive.
happening. That's what's happening to me right now on TikTok. They're saying I got my degree online. I'm not really a doctor, on and on and on. Okay, so devaluing. Let me ask you guys, valuing abusive?
Abusive.
Yep.
Okay. A sense of entitlement is evident in these individuals' unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment. They expect to be catered to and are puzzled or furious when this does not happen. Now, when somebody is furious, are they nice? I don't think so. Their priorities are so important that others should defer to them and then get irritated when others fail to assist in their very important work. This sense of entitlement combined with lack of sensitivity to the wants and needs of others may result in a conscious or unwitting exploitation of others. They expect to be given whatever they want or feel they need, no matter what it might mean to others. For example, these individuals may expect great dedication from others and may overwork them without regard to the impact on their lives. They tend to form.
That's not abusive at all.
It's like, I mean, there's a whole lot more, but they tend to form friendships or romantic relationships only if the other person seems likely to advance their purposes or otherwise enhance their self-esteem. They often usurp special privileges and extra resources they believe they deserve because they are so special. They lack empathy and have difficulty recognizing the desires, subjective experiences, and feelings of others. They tend to discuss their own concerns in inappropriate, lengthy detail while failing to recognize that others also have feelings and needs. They are often contemptuous and impatient with others who talk about their own problems and concerns. These individuals may be oblivious to the hurt their remarks may inflict.
Hurt and abuse might be like synonymous.
Now, they may be oblivious, but they may not. They may know exactly what they're doing and they don't care. When recognized, the needs, desires, or feelings of others are likely to be viewed disparagingly as signs of weakness or vulnerability. Those who relate to individuals with narcissistic personality disorder typically find an emotional coldness and lack of reciprocal interest. And they may harshly devalue the contributions of others, particularly when those individuals have received acknowledgement or praise for their accomplishments. Arrogant, haughty behaviors characterize these individuals. They often display snobbish, disdainful, or patronizing attitudes. Now, we talked about what abusive means, and even if you don't think that that's necessarily mental and emotional abuse, the way it plays out, if you've ever had anyone gaslight, manipulate, mindfuck, devalue, demean you, it's pretty damn abusive.
Well, and let's not even forget the control and the isolation tactics, the seclusion, the silencing, that's one of the things as an abuse victim that we're like, I can fix this. I can fix this. Just let me be perfect. Let me do all the things you say, and we can get back to when you loved me because I was performing well for you. The like stress and like the complete and utter distress that causes a human being to be under, like, sure, you may not think that any of that shit is abusive because you're the abuser, but to the person who is trying to cope with your demands and your outrageous expectations, it is unnerving.
Yeah.
And again, looking at the diagnostic features tells you, but it doesn't also tell you what it's going to look like what Ashley just said, what it looks like in an interpersonal relationship. It's horrible.
It's awful. It's awful. Get away from these people.
It's insufferable. There is no pleasing them. There is none. You have to you have to be an AI robot to please them, because there's no way for your humanity. You cannot insert your humanity into relationships with people like this, because you're unable to have any sort of flaws or imperfection or emotions, therefore, because it's only, as we've just heard, it's only about pleasing them. Your feelings do not matter. Period.
No. Your feelings are a weakness. Your empathy is a weakness to them. They are all ego. They are all self. They are all they have sacrificed empathy in the name of themselves only. And they think that your empathy and your sacrifice of ego is a fucking weakness. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
If anybody has heard of the narcissistic injury, a narcissistic wound, if you do something that the narcissist feels like criticism or something that is against them, that harms them, that they feel emotionally, the way they react to that, if you've ever been in any sort of narcissistic relationship with a parent, with a romantic partner, with a sibling, with a friend who's hopefully no longer a friend, with a boss, with a work partner, what do? They react with disdain, rage, and defiant counterattack. Smear campaign. Smear campaigns. We've all heard of fucking smear campaigns.
Some of them have been the victims of one or two.
Yeah. When they get wounded, when you actually try to assert yourself to a narcissist, when you notice that the mask has fallen and you realize who they are, and then they feel wounded by whatever it is that you didn't do, then they will go after you mercilessly in some cases. In some cases.
Oh, yes. And then they can insert legal things like legal abuse.
Yeah.
Give you restraining orders telling you to govern yourself accordingly.
And then to press charges against you as though you're the abuser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that has happened to so many people. Like wow. I mean, horrifying.
So
Sorry.
for people to say that narcissists are not people with NPD, when we're talking on this podcast, when we say narcissists, we don't mean people that are egocentric, full of themselves, those kind of, we're talking like throwing around the word, you're such a narcissist, you love yourself. Not that. We're talking about NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. So I want to say that just to make sure, because there is a difference. There's a very big difference between someone who's just has an inflated sense of ego and somebody who is NPD. NPD, and people can hate me for saying this, and they're evil. They are evil people.
Yep, they're the villain.
They are. They are. They're the villain of their own freaking story. They're the villain of everybody else's story too.
But it's as ridiculous as saying a lion is not a predator.
It is. It is that ridiculous. Yep.
I mean,
like, let's just yeah, let's just cut to the fucking chase. Let's get all the way to the root of it. It's as silly as that. A lion's not a predator. Yes, they are. I don't care if you have a lion that has been, you know, tamed
in the zoo
and lives on a sanctuary with humans. There is still the likelihood that at any given time, the lion will step into its inherent nature to be a predator. I don't give a fuck how nice that lion is to you. I don't care how much time you've spent with the lion. I don't care how you've trained the lion. There is still that chance that the lion will be a lion and eat you. Don't care.
Well, look at, what is it, Siegfried and Roy in Vegas, where they had their white lion, their pet white lion in the 90s, I think it was, and the lion attacked. They've had the lion for years. So Heather, you guys gotta watch this podcast just because.
Is it good? Is it good? Do I look awesome? Frozen? Fuck. I was trying really hard this whole time to be in one position, but I'm getting tired. And so y'all are just gonna have to fucking see me freeze as a weirdo. Enjoy the show.
Oh, God. And the thing with narcissists and like with this video that I put up, it is on the one hand, it's like, I know better. I know just to ignore it and let it go. On the other hand, is they're like, I did a video on, they're very insidious. They annoy the fuck out of you. They will do whatever they can before they go and find a new target. They will make fake accounts. They'll call all their friends. They'll do, they'll go online and, try to dox you. So it's just, and especially if you've already been through it before, it's very triggering. It's very triggering, like, here we go again. So, and you can't argue with them.
No.
You can't. There's no arguing with a narcissist. There's no explaining. I did put up a video saying that this is my page, this is my platform. And if you have nothing, nice to say, if you want a civil discourse, we can. If you disagree with me, let's have a civil discourse. But if you come at me with hostility, you're gone. And they came and said things like, I hope your house burns down, stuff like that. It's like, okay, bye-bye. This is my page.
Thank you for proving my point.
Exactly. And another thing that I do, I'm going to say it here, you guys already know, and Heather knows this for sure. Not that you don't, Ashley, but being a mental health care provider is, I don't have to see NPD. Ethically, I don't see them. I used to in the past. And then after my relationship and my recent encounters with my chief at my old job and with lead psych at or lead professor at Pepperdine, I refuse. But you know what? I don't have to see them. Ethically, I am well within my rights to not see them. And ethically, I should not see them.
Well, let's think about the court system. If they call me for jury duty and for a rape case or a domestic violence case, they will not let me be on jury. Why?
You're
Because
biased.
I'm biased.
Yeah.
So how is it, how would you be considered unethical because of your experience choosing not to work with them? People it's like, use your logical, critical thinking, y'all. That's why you have a brain. That's why we have this amazing supercomputer up here. I'm not trying to be sick, but come on, the common sense is just lacking.
That's what, if you're going to have an argument, have a critical reasoning argument.
They're not trying to have an argument. They're trying to be bullies. They're just trying to be obnoxious, and it worked. They're obnoxious. Congratulations. Your obnoxious skills are on point.
I'm stigmatizing NPD. You know what? My page, my all of this is for a safe space for victims of narcissistic abuse, which is very, very real, and of abuse in general.
Yeah.
It is not to empathize at all. Their whole thing is they were abused too. Okay.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't fucking know that. You don't know if they were abused. You don't know if they had any kind of trauma, and you don't know if that trauma was abusive or not, or if it was just a developmental ick. You have no idea what it was.
And here's the thing. If you were abused, that does not give you the right to abuse others.
No. In fact, most people that were abused don't become abusers. They become victims.
So, and that is not an excuse. Saying I was abused, that's why I'm doing this.
Not an excuse.
That makes it even worse, because you're using the abuse as an excuse to go ahead and abuse others. And those very same people, I love the hypocrisy of this. My parents were amazing. I came from abuse. Okay, who the fuck abused you then? Who abused you that you became an MPD if your parents were amazing?
Most people that were abused, I don't know if this got caught or not before I froze, but most people that have been abused end up being re-victimized, not becoming abusers. So that's a myth.
According to them, I am re-victimizing them by stigmatizing their NPD.
Well, you know what? Here's the only people that I'd like to ask. I have not seen one victim of narcissistic abuse or domestic violence, one single victim come in and be harsh or critical on you about the content that you're putting out. So listen,
That's what I'm doing it for.
I don't care what they have to say. because I'm not talking to you. You're not my audience. And I've said that to people in my videos too. Like, you know, the one video recently with Naya and I, like, why would you put this on here? Or you're just doing this for clout, or like, this isn't real. And I'm like, if you're not a victim of domestic violence, I'm not talking to you and I don't expect you to understand. And that seems to like kind of mute the argument really quick. Like, if you're not a victim, I'm not talking to you. I don't expect you to understand what I'm talking about. This will relate to the people I'm talking to. If it doesn't relate, it's not in reference to you. You can carry on about your business.
But I'm a psychologist that's spreading misinformation.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what misinformation?
No, you actually spread accurate information, and they're not even NPD. They're claiming to have NPD, and then they're claiming to be triggered because they're trying to start an argument and be getting attention. They're like, I hope they're listening to this, because then you're at least giving us attention that we're giving you. But they're just bullies.
Oh, I may edit this up and put it on my page.
Well,
Right.
and-
You might want to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, and the thing is a lot of like our own individual content. There's a lot of my content that really triggers abusive men.
Yeah.
Like
Good.
people who I had one video that really triggered predatorial men with children. I'm fucking fine with it. If I trigger you all day, then I'm hitting a soft spot. And like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for letting me know where you stand. Because anyone who agrees with me is not going to be triggered by this and is not going to get angry. They're going to relate to it. But if you're aggressive towards what I have to say, then I know where you are. Noted.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, because I have a tendency to forget that myself. That if I'm triggering you, I'm doing something right then.
Good.
You are.
That's feedback for you. Take that and fucking work with it. Go to therapy and fix that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
remember that one video I sent both of you, and that guy says on there, like, here to ruin the abusers and the predator's day. Glad to ruin a predator's day. Like, I'm fine ruining, if you're an abuser or you're a child, you know, you're a predator and I piss you off, I'm glad to.
Yeah. Good.
I'm
Enjoy
okay
that.
with it. Yeah. I'm
That's
glad-
like one little inkling of what the pain that you have caused others. So
Yeah.
enjoy.
Mhm.
Very true. Very true. And I again, thank you, because I forgot that. I'm very big with telling others that, and I forgot it for myself. So I needed to hear that too, because it is true. If there's something that I'm saying, and again, I am very happy. The people that have agreed with me and liked it and stuff, a lot of mental health professionals, I like that. It's like, that's my peers. And if my peers agree with what I'm saying, I don't give a shit about
Yeah.
anybody else. And if victims are like, when I say that my page is a safe space and I get thank yous, that's why I am here. I don't, honestly, if somebody, like I said before, with NPD, all these little Gen Zs, which my son is Gen Z, I love Gen Z, but they are Gen Z, wants to have a civil discourse. I have had a few that have asked me questions, like, where is it? Show me. I would like to see the proof. And then they're gone. They're done. They don't say anything after that. And some have thanked me for showing them. You know, I've said, I will show you the page number in the DSM if you like. You know, someone, I explained to someone too that knowing the criteria is just one part of this all. That's what you all have to remember. That's why I have a doctorate. Yes, I am a doctor. It makes a huge difference. You have to dissect this thing. That's like getting the book Grey's Anatomy and thinking you could do surgery because I read an anatomy book. You know, just because you could read the DSM doesn't mean you know what it means. So there are some people who can have a nice civil discourse, and I appreciate that. Those people are welcome. You may not agree with me, but if you want to have a civil discourse about it, you're welcome. But then to come back and say, I'm not abusive, you stupid old smelly person, I hope you burn in hell. Oh, wow. That's not abuse. Or like you said, we're going to slander her. Look at, we're slandering her. Do you even know what the word slander means? Because
Apparently they
honestly,
do.
if you were slandering me, that means I could probably legally take action.
Well, and slander is an insight of spreading false information.
So,
They literally just admit to what they do and prove our point. So it's,
but if you want to do that, like one person said that they were going to write to all the medical boards or whatever. If you're just admitting you're slandering me and you're going to do something like that, I could literally take legal action against you because you just admitted what you're doing.
Yep.
Because you don't know what the hell you're doing.
no.
So,
Yeah, well, and I think this is a really important conversation for a lot of people to hear, because that's something that really disrupts our ability to speak out and to be loud about our healing journey and to share our stories and to, help to advocate for others, is because the noise around us gets so loud that it does, to a degree, it does trigger us from the abuse. It does cause us to question ourselves and to say, well, fuck, am I? Let me go double check. Let me make sure that I'm not saying something that and that's the intention of what they're doing. So that's the one thing that I always fact check within myself, is who is my message resonating with? Is this resonating with the people I'm trying to reach? Because let's be really raw about this. I'm not trying to change abusers. I'm not trying to help abusers see what they're doing, because I'm fully aware they don't want to change. They don't care to change. They don't even think that what they're doing is abusive, because as you just stated in the diagnostic features, this is all self-serving. So whatever means necessary, if it fucks you up, okay, then I'm still getting what I want. So if it fucks you up, it fucks you up. Not my problem. You should have taken care of yourself better so that it doesn't fuck you up. That's how they think about it. So if it's resonating with your peers and with the people that you're trying to reach, that's all that fucking matters. And if you're causing waves with abusers, fucking right on, Jody.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to keep doing it too. And I'm so grateful to have the two of you, because it's the same thing. If people are, if I start questioning myself, it's like, God, I'm so fucking grateful for the two of you to be able to be like, yeah, you're not fucking crazy and you're doing the right thing and you're sending the right message. And so we're not going to stop and we're not going to shut up and deal with it.
this is this right here, because all I could think about right before we started this, between getting all my stuff ready, I'm thinking, this is why people get silenced, because there is a part of me going, fuck, I just want to fuck it. I'm just done. And I thought, no, this is why people get silenced, because the abusive are louder, because the negative is louder. And we can't allow that, because it's like after a while, you just kind of go, fuck, I can't handle this anymore. But that's when that's where I was kind of like that right before we started this, just thinking, I wish I never would have posted that. But then I also have to think, no, honestly, fuck you people. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I am here for victims. I've been through it. You guys have been through it. We fucking know. And if you're 17, 18, 19, and you don't know, I think that's great. I hope you never know. Because once you find out, oh, honey, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah. And you're going to need people like us to pull your ass through it.
Because you're not going to have people around you like we do. Because the people around you don't believe it's real. So you're going to be very, very alone when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I say that shit to people that come and hate on my videos all the time. And they say ignorant, classless things about surviving and going through abuse. Is I always say this very simply: come back when this has happened to you and we'll welcome you with open arms. Until then, go live your life. Like, this space will be here for you when you've gone through the hell that we've gone through. Until then, carry on about your business, because you don't understand a damn thing we're talking about, and you think it's funny. And once this has happened to you, and I pray it doesn't, but in the event it does, we'll still be here. And we'll understand, we'll hear you, we'll believe you, and we'll support you. But until then,
And we'll drink wine with you, and we'll talk shit with you, and we'll have a good time, and we'll heal, and it'll be great. It's gonna be awesome.
because to a degree, we can all, to a certain extent, relate to the fact of, oh, I would never let that happen to me. So I can empathize with that, of the naivety of thinking like, oh, until it happened to me. And then I was like, oh shit, fuck, damn. Like, here we
Amen
are.
to that. Yeah. And then, yeah. But the thing that I needed to hear this tonight. I'm glad we did this, but I also needed to hear this for myself. And this is a reminder that it doesn't matter, even psychologists, clinicians, anybody needs that one support, that boost, that extra little got your back kind of thing, and you're not doing anything wrong. Because one of the things that I do, because I take my license very seriously. And I'm not saying that anybody else doesn't, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking for myself, that I will, before I do videos, I will source, so that anybody comes back to me, what are your sources? Here it is. And just like with the DSM, I will give you page numbers as well. These are my sources. So I can speak from personal experience and add the professional to that. And I can speak from professional experience and add the personal to that. And I take that very seriously. And the fact that I can do that, it makes me want to help people more. For the past 4 years with my ex, and even during my ex, but since I left my ex, it's like, I know of where I speak. I know of where I speak, both personally and professionally. And if you want to sit and drag me through the coals, do your research and come back to me with research. And if you can't, bye. Goodbye. Good luck. Have fun. Cut that off. See what happens when I open my TikTok again.
Well, I think it's important for all of us to keep that in mind, is, like you said, Jody, those noises can be so much louder than the voices of our supporters, and they're louder on purpose. And we just have to remind ourselves, who am I trying to speak into, and what are the voices that I need to be hearing? Even when
and
you
listen to the ones that you need to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on that note, I think we're at the end. I think Heather froze again. Only this time she's in a very okay position. You're actually frozen in a very, very, like,
I've had enough of this internet today. My wine's gone.
I do want to.
Ashley's taking horrifying pictures of me frozen. We gotta call it a night, y'all. This is
so many more than that. I do want to say, lastly, if any of the listeners have questions that you would like for us to answer, you have topics that you'd like to cover, please post them in the comments section. Share this podcast with your friends or anyone that thinks that you need. Holy fuck, the wine and Mars. Share and like this podcast with anyone who you think needs to hear it. My God.
For laughs, for education, for entertainment.
So it helps us it helps us get the word out. It also helps us to know what you'd like to hear from us. So please let us.
If you are listening to this on Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts, You can email us. I think you can leave comments on those too, but you can also email us even on YouTube at WCWYCW1. So it's why complain when you can whine. It's just the first initials, WCWYCW. And trust me, I had to write it out and look at it because I wasn't going to get it on my own. WCWYCW1 at gmail.com. So you can email us there. You can make comments on YouTube. And if you're listening on any of the podcasts, you might want to watch the YouTube just to see Heather freezing. Sorry, Heather.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show, y'all. It's going to be a good time.
You know, we're going to be having guests. We're getting some guests lined up. Hopefully, it might be after the first of the year. It depends. But we are going to be having guests as well. We'd like to know what subjects you'd like to be discussed. And again, like Ashley said, if you have questions or anything like that, leave them. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We're also good at deleting and blocking. I'm just saying that. But yeah, don't be shy.
Don't be mean, but don't be shy.
Right. Don't be mean. No hostility we will not entertain flying monkeys. Oh my God. I do have to say this. Flying monkeys is not a racist thing. It does not refer, because I had someone take that comment and make a video claiming that I was being racist. Flying monkeys refer to, I'm going to give you, well, we know what flying monkeys are, but I can explain it, but I'm also going to give you this definition because I think it's a good one. Flying monkeys refers to abuse by proxy or having someone else perform the bidding of another person, in this case, a narcissist. And anyone who grew up watching The Wizard of Oz will recall how frightening the Wicked Witch of the West's flying monkeys were. So flying monkeys is not in any way meant to be any kind of a racist term. If you are in the narcissistic at all world, you know what a flying monkey is. It is a colleague, it is a coworker, it is a family member, it is anybody that comes on the behest of, and they may not say they're on the behest of, they probably won't say they're on the behest of the narcissist to do the narcissist's bidding. So we do not entertain flying monkeys on this page, in this podcast. We do not entertain toxic, abusive, NPD, or otherwise. We are here for victims, and we are here for psychoeducation and spreading peace and love and kindness and happiness and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Except
and one last
non-toxic.
note, if you're gonna talk and defend NPD, at least do me a favor and make sure you understand abuse and abusive tactics and things such as flying monkeys before you attack us in our comment section.
Yeah, do your education first. Do your research, read your books, know what you're reading, all of that stuff.
Yeah, then we can have kind discourse. It's fine.
Yes, I'm all about that. So on that note, ladies. Oh, I didn't refill it. So
Mine's empty
it's all
too.
empty. Now
Heather,
Heather.
Wait, hold on. Too late. Heather. She's frozen again. I hope everyone had a glass of wine with us while we enjoyed Heather's freezing. Yes. Oh, Jody.
If you have wine recommendations, you can put them in the comments too. We would love that. I'm Cabernet mostly. Heather, what are you mostly?
I'm mostly frozen today.
Heather is experiencing technical difficulties. I'm Cabernet. Heather is reds as well, right?
Yes.
And Ashley, you are?
I love Moscatos and Rosés and meads.
So if you guys have any recommendations or suggestions, let us know as well. So, okay, I think we gotta,
Sign now, please.
bye.
Bye guys, love you.
Bye.